If you've ever struggled with imposter syndrome, or as I prefer to say it, if you've ever wrestled with the fraud in the room, you'll know how unbelievably frustrating and exhausting that can be. Because a large part of you knows that you deserve to be in the situation you're in. A huge part of you knows that you're smart enough to be in the conversations that you're in. And a massive part of you knows that you deserve to be in that room with those people. And yet another part of you doesn't believe that. It doesn't think you're smart enough. It doesn't believe you're hot enough. It doesn't believe you're young enough. It doesn't believe you're old enough. All of these kinds of things. Now, if you've ever experienced that, I'm going to tell you why it exists. Why does imposter syndrome exist? What's the number one reason for people having imposter syndrome? Now, there's a lot of bullshit written about it, and there's a lot of complicated books written about imposter syndrome, but it boils down to this. People have imposter syndrome because they have an inability to internalize their own success. I'll say that again. People have imposter syndrome because they have an inability to internalize their own success. So if you want to start getting rid of your imposter syndrome, then you need to start internalizing your own success. You need to stop being so modest. You need to outwork your self-doubt. When you outwork your self-doubt, you are essentially building a wall of defense. So when that imposter syndrome creeps up on you again and says, hey, you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you're not hot enough, you can point to your wall of defense and say, hey mate, wind your fucking neck in, look at all this awesome stuff I have done. So start internalizing the victories that you have. Start recognizing within yourself the success that you have. When you have a success, as small as it may be, celebrate it. Give yourself a virtual pat on the back and say, that's like me.